go around the other way.
Today, we're going to take you on a trip on Glade Top Trail. We're going to take the short Hollow, which is actually FS510. You'll find that it's a difficulty rating of 4 out of 10, and it's really only open to side-by-sides and high clearance vehicles. So if you do not have a lift, you may not want to go on this road. We always enter this part of Glade Top on FS149. That is going to be on the west side of Glade Top Trail. You're going to go ahead and take a right onto FS510. As you reach this point, the road is going to actually Y. You're going to go on the left trail to follow FS510. Just like many of the trails on Glade Top, this trail is another very narrow trail. You are going to get pinstriping on your rig as you go through this trail, but man, if you're fine with that, then it is well worth the trip. This was our first time on Short Hollow 510, and I have to say, so far, it is one of my favorites. This trail has a lot of great views, and if you're a novice to off-roading, this trail will probably give you a little bit of a challenge. But if you're not afraid of a challenge, then by all means, you should definitely try it out. But even if you're not a novice, I really do believe that you would enjoy this trail a lot. You will see there's a lot of downed trees on this trail. Luckily, most of them have already been cut away, so you won't have to worry about it. But just in case one has fallen and no one's taking care of it, you will need a chainsaw to get yourself through, or you'll have to turn around. At this point, you might notice that there is a pebble or stone on top of our Jeep. We have no idea when or how that got there, but I guarantee you it is driving Chris absolutely nuts. As you can see straight ahead, there's a tree that's been down for a really long time. We are taking the path off to the left. We do have a Jeep Gladiator, which means that our wheelbase is a little bit longer than a standard Jeep or some other smaller rigs, so we did have to jockey around a bit just to get around the base of that fallen tree. As we run along the crest of Short Hollow, you'll see the views are just absolutely beautiful. You can see for miles and miles and miles. This was an amazing day. So when I got here, I could not help myself but to stop and just really take in the view. That trail that goes to the right is intended for side-by-sides only. So be sure to take the trail to the left. At this point, we start coming across some water. We do seem to go a little bit low in that, but it really wasn't bad at all. Just like a lot of the puddles around here, they're just really mushy to get through. Chris is stopping here because it's really hard to see, but there's actually a little stump up in the middle of this trail that is very pointy and could be potentially dangerous for your tires. So he had me get out so that I can make sure that we're straddling it down the middle of the Jeep and not in any danger of popping a tire out in the middle of nowhere. Here's another water area. It's really not very deep, as you can see. We got through it extremely easily. This is the month of June. We are on 37s with 17-inch rims. We didn't have any problem with any of the water crossings. Now, I will remind you that in the Ozark Mountains, we do have a tendency to have a wet season, and that wet season can bring on flash flooding. And if the water is moving really fast, I'm going to advise you not to go through it. But as you can see, most of these puddles are just still sitting water. Later down the path, we will have a couple of water crossings, but right now, even in June, there's not much water in them. Therefore, the risk of having a deep water crossing on this trail is probably fairly slim. You know, at the beginning, I mentioned you will probably get pinstriping on your rig. Well, I was not kidding. These trails do have a tendency to get really narrow. You can tell that they are not used a lot outside of the people that really want to venture off the trail. So if you really don't like pinstriping, Short Hollow is not the trail for you. This is a really awesome area of the trail. A lot of the paths will verge together here, but off to the left, there's actually a little camping area that has like a fire pit. It would be the perfect place to stop and camp for the night, or even to just stop to have a meal. This section of the trail is at the very bottom of SF510 before you head back north on the trail. You're supposed to actually go straight, but there is no way to get through there. You could see for years and years it hasn't been used. So we are going to follow the trail that got made in replacement of the one we should have been on, so that we can still continue down this path. There are quite a number of trees that are down on the path that we should have been on. All right, at this point, we're back on the real trail. And guys, I wish I could say that the path is not going to get more narrow than it already has been, but there are some spots in here that you are just getting slapped with tree limbs. But man, the view made it so worth it.
I wanted you to be inside my arms where the night goes down. Oh baby, I wanted you to be here when the sun comes up.
Here we go. Let's see what we got. Oh, we're going straight. Oh. Alright, here we go. Uh-oh. We may have made a horrible mistake.
That little water crossing, Chris actually questioned whether he took the right path or not, but we were not at any risk of getting stuck. It was just really, really soft. One thing that you couldn't see there is that tree was really close to the path and there was no way to avoid it hitting our mirror and popping our mirror in. And so just be aware that was a really tight area. Now, if you have a full-size rig, I would not suggest trying to take this trail. I do not believe a full-size rig will be able to make it all the way through here. This section, you will start to roll a little bit to the left and the right. It does look worse than it really is when you're in the middle of it. That was really only about a 4% roll and a 9% pitch. This is our first real water crossing that we came upon here on this trail. The water was maybe about 5 or 6 inches deep. It wasn't bad at all. And as I said before, in the Ozark Mountains, we do have a tendency on occasion to have a really wet season. We are in the middle of June and we had a lot of rain throughout May and part of June, but this water crossing really was nothing to worry about. Now, in case you're wondering, in that section there was a lot of hills and a lot of rolls, and we probably had the worst pitch was at about a 16 and the worst roll was about a 14, so it was really not a bad section at all. We didn't even have to worry about any of that section having our diffs locked. As you can see, there is a lot of variation from one part of this trail to the next. Anytime that I do any filming, I am going to give it to you in the order that it came across. So if you wonder if I'm mixing up the videos so that I spread out the crest of these mountain views, I'm not. This is something we're back at the top again, and we are still not even near done with this trail. As you can see, most of this trail, as long as you have a good clearance, you're not going to have any problems. Even that rock itself, you could probably do with a stock vehicle without any concern that you won't be able to get down the hill. Now, I do promise you, Here, momentarily, you're going to see why this path is only for high clearance rigs. All right, so we're coming up on that area I was telling you that you absolutely have to have high clearance to be able to get through. My camera does not do this justice. It is really a lot steeper than it looks on camera. You're gonna see as he gets up to this rock, that's where things are gonna get a little bit more difficult. He's able to hop up over it, but our back dip is actually getting caught. We have a 2-inch lift on 37-inch tires and 17-inch rims, and we just were not able to get over it going straight. So he is backing up and taking a different line. His second go around, he was able to actually get up over and not have to worry about using the skid plates. But if you don't have a lift with some pretty good clearance, then this is probably not the trail for you. So we're towards the end of the trail at this point. We're coming up on the very last part that's going to drop us back onto the fire road. I apologize that it is not as clear as it could be, but I did zoom in because I wanted you to see that there's a deer. It's just standing there and it's staring at us. He's wondering why in the world are we in his world? And there he goes. As we crest the top, we are taking a right on FS149, and that puts us on the far east side of this fire road. Now, if we were to have taken a left, that would have taken us back to where we had started. We took a right because there is a great place to stop, to air up, and even to have some lunch if it's that time of day for you. Here it is, that little park I was telling you about. We're gonna stop, we're gonna air up, let Titus stretch his legs just a little bit before we hit the road back to our home. Say hi to Titus, everyone. This is our Labrador. He's 10 years old and totally blind as a bat, so don't be surprised when you see him run into things on occasion for our videos. Titus absolutely loved this little stop at the park so that he could stretch his legs and drink him some water. We definitely love this trail. We are going to go back.